A couple weeks ago, I went to King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia for the first time. So how would I describe the park? I would use one word: unremarkable. There really isn't a lot that makes this park stand out from the rest, except for a few key factors. There's a lot of good things about this park and a lot of bad, but let's start with the good. First of all, King's Dominion has Intimidator 305 and Twisted Timbers. These are two incredible rides. Intimidator 305 is one of the most intense and relentless roller coasters I've been on, and for me it made the trip worth it. Twisted Timbers had some incredible airtime, and it's just a really fun ride. These rides in particular are what put King's Dominion on the map for me, and they were pretty incredible. Second, we have Jungle Expedition. This area of the park is where all the new additions are, such as theming, the new ride Tumbili, and I believe they also have some shows here from time to time. This was the best looking area of the park, and I don't think it was a coincidence that this was the most busy area of the park either. I found that the rides, restaurants, and midways had more guests than any other area in the park, and I can easily see why. The scenery, music, and theming made it a lot nicer to be in this area than any other area of the park. King's Dominion did a great job with Jungle Expedition, and I hope we see more Cedar Fair areas like this. And finally, this park is just really pretty in certain areas. It feels like Kings Island if Kings Island had a lot more trees. International Street in particular was filled with trees, and I think it makes the park a lot more pretty. It adds for nice scenery, and it even adds a little shade. Now, let's get to the bad. First of all, a couple of the rides were closed. Grizzly was closed for a retracking, and Dominator was closed, but I don't really know why. Now this really wouldn't be that big of a problem at any other park, except King's Dominion doesn't have that many original rides. Many, and I mean many of their rides, are either cloned rides or just off-the-shelf models. Flight of Fear, Backlot Stunt Coaster, Racer can all be found at Kings Island. Tumbili is a cloned ride from Adventureland, and Apple's Apple is just an off-the-shelf Mock Rides Wild Mouse. You can find other Mock Rides Wild Mouse coasters just hours away at Hershey Park and at Six Flags Great Adventure. All of these rides are just unoriginal and unremarkable. So having some of the most unique and original rides closed was kind of disappointing. To me, it felt like King's Dominion had a lot of cookie cutter additions, which I wasn't a fan of. It felt like the goal was never to be the best amusement park in the world, but instead, just an okay, regional amusement park. The park lacked originality, and there wasn't much that made it stand out. Which is a little bizarre to me, because the park's kinda in the middle of nowhere. I mean, sure, it's next to Richmond, Virginia, but most of the Virginia market is already taken by Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Now, compare that to Kings Island, where you have Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton, or Cedar Point, where you have Columbus, Cleveland, and Detroit, and you'll realize that's a pretty small market that Kings Dominion is dealing with. Busch Gardens has Kings Dominion beat when it comes to rides, theming, scenery, just about everything. I'm not sure if Kings Dominion is just trying to be the cheaper option, because my ticket to King's Dominion was $40, while my ticket to Busch Gardens was $50, so it wasn't really that much cheaper. You could literally just drive 1 hour to the east and get better rides, better theming, and better shows, so I don't exactly understand what role King's Dominion fills. And I'm obviously not the only one noticing this. I went to King's Dominion on a weekend, and it was empty, while I went to Busch Gardens on a weekday, and it was packed. For reference, King's Dominion had 1 parking toll booth open, and it took me about 2 minutes to get through, while Busch Gardens had close to 10, and it took me over 45 minutes to get through. That hopefully gives you some idea of what the crowds were like at both parks. So if I owned King's Dominion, how would I solve this? Okay, hear me out. First of all, get rid of Flight of Fear. There's already one at Kings Island, and it fits that area much better than it does Jungle Expedition. Next, take out Backlot. There's already backlots at 2 other parks. You don't need it, and there's plenty of family coasters here. Next, take out Anaconda. No one likes it, and it's just a waste of space. Now, we just took out 3 rides. That's a lot, but in reality, they don't really add anything to the park. Now with those rides gone, I would add some restrooms, some restaurants, and some scenery around the park to make it seem less empty. After that, let's add a record-breaking coaster. Let's get people away from Busch Gardens and back to King's Dominion. Let's add some actual substance to the coaster lineup. After that, maybe retrack Racer, repaint some rides, just make it look nicer and more enjoyable. But hey, that's just what I would do. I doubt that's gonna happen. Now I know in this video I've been pretty harsh on King's Dominion, but I still really enjoyed it. I loved Intimidator 305 and Twisted Timbers, but I can't say I loved King's Dominion itself. I think it's got some pretty big issues and has a big competitor just an hour away. Hopefully Cedar Fair will address this in the coming years, but only time will tell. Nonetheless, I still enjoyed my visit, and I would definitely recommend a visit to King's Dominion if you haven't been before. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.